What do you think Robert Lawrence Stine's favorite Goosebumps book would be? Would have affected him the most?
No one ever asked me that question.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
If you are a kid of the 90s, there's a good chance you experienced many sleepless nights, maybe even a nightmare or two, courtesy of our next guest. RL Stine's Goosebumps series have sold over 400 million copies around the world, the second best-selling book series of all time behind only Harry Potter. What's more, he's the reason many kids around the world continue to crack open books rather than just turning on a TV. And on a personal note, he is the reason I fell in love with the horror genre and continue to love a good scare even to this day. He is appearing at the Music Box Theater tonight for the Chicago Humanities Festival. Before he does, he joins me live in studio. RL Stine, what an absolute honor, sir. Thank you for taking the time.
I'm glad I could be a bad influence on you.
The best kind of bad influence. I want to start out talking about, I remember a period of my life where you could not walk into a school or through a mall, walk down the street without a kid holding one of these. Do you remember the first time you ever saw a kid out in the wild holding a Goosebump book?
Here's where I knew my life was getting weird. I was in a traffic jam, late for a book signing. And I was saying, looking around, I don't like to be late. And I'm in this traffic jam, and I looked around, and the cars were all filled with kids. It was my traffic jam.
No!
I had caused the traffic jam. That's when I knew things were getting strange.
There's no going back after that.
No.
Obviously, I remember reading these as a kid, and just, every chapter, as you know, ended with a great cliffhanger, and you have to keep going to the next one. And I remember even as a kid thinking, oh my God, these are so intense. And I know you wrote them for kids, but was there ever a moment putting pen to paper on one of these great titles where you thought, maybe I took it too far?
No, my editors always say, make it scarier. I don't. It's never happened.
Honestly, I'm grateful for that.
Scaring kids is a great job, right?
It's the best job in the world. I want to talk about a word that maybe you haven't had to deal with until recently, which is nostalgia. Because, kids...
So give me a break.
Come on.
How would you like to be nostalgia?
Well, but you still have new audiences.
This took a long time to get used to. I do a book signing. I got 10-year-olds, 20, and then I got 30-year-olds. And I always say, what are you doing here? It took a while to get used to it.
But it's a good feeling, right? Because, it's so funny. The first one I ever read, one of them was Haunted Mask. Our anchor in studio, who I think you met, his son is reading Haunted Mask right now. So even I'm feeling like, these books that I read.
Look how many generations I get to scare.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. I'm sort of curious, is there, everyone has their own title. Everyone in the newsroom lit up when they found out you were coming in. And 10 different people shouted 10 different titles that I had to bring up. Is there one in particular that most people want to talk to you about?
The Haunted Mask. Well, mostly they want to talk about Slappy the Dummy. That's everyone wants to talk about. Slappy is my favorite character that I ever created and my least favorite.
Why do you say that?
My favorite because everyone likes him so much. At Halloween time, thousands of kids go out as Slappy. That's really a thrill. He's my least favorite because I'm sick of him. I had to write 15 books about a dummy.
Have you ever had a kid dressed as one of your characters come up and trick or treat at your house?
Not at my house, but I did a talk in Toronto, actually, at a big theater, and 40 people came dressed as Slappy. 40. I brought them all up on stage. And I looked at them and I thought, I should be in the red bow tie business. Forget books. We should be selling bow ties.
Someone is making a lot of money off of that iconic red Slappy bow tie.
Yeah, right.
I read a quote where, and correct me if it's not a real quote because the internet's not always true, that you described yourself as a training bra for Stephen King.
No, I didn't say that. A magazine called me a training bra for Stephen King. And I was talking with him. I met him and I said, Steve, did you know a magazine once called me a training bra for you? And he said, yes, I know.
What was that interaction
He knew about it. It's the only time I ever met him. We had a nice talk, but then he accused me of stealing every amusement park plot and not leaving any for other authors.
Well, you know what? They should have written faster. But I got to be honest, there are a lot of Stephen King readers who are probably readers of his because they
No,
read
that's
you.
that's what they meant. Yeah,
You
it's
know,
a nice thing. I'm a big admirer of his. So.
And as he should be of yours as well. You know, obviously, since you started writing these in the early 90s, the world has changed a lot. Life for kids has changed a lot. But fear is a timeless thing. I'm sort of curious, to what degree do you have to evolve things? Because technology is now, kids have cell phones in their hands and iPads.
That's the problem.
But
Everything else stays the same. Afraid of the dark, afraid of getting lost, afraid something's under your bed. That never changes. But you've got to get rid of the cell phones. They ruin every story.
It really
now
does.
They keep, help me, help, and the book's over.
And it's it. Well, that's why I think
No.
that it says a lot about these books, that even 30 plus years later, you can read them and they still work without iPads or iPhones or whatever the internet being
you have to
part
be
of it.
careful. Not with the technology changes every 2 weeks. I was reading one old book of mine, just looking at it, and this girl says, "I'm the only girl at school who has a beeper and a Palm Pilot." That's horrible.
Hey, honestly, I'd rather that than someone get out of a scary situation because they were able to text their way out of it, to be honest with you.
True.
I was wondering if you could flash back. You were a kid growing up in Ohio.
Yeah.
And you've described yourself as sometimes being scared of normal things that kids
I
are
was a
scared
very,
of.
very fearful child.
What do you
Shy.
think Robert Lawrence Stine's favorite Goosebumps book would be? Would have affected him the most?
No one ever asked me that question. I don't know if I can come up with an answer. Probably a funny one. Maybe Little Shop of Hamsters.
You know, well, you
That one-
started in comedy before you ever jumped over to horror.
I never planned to be scary. It wasn't even my idea. It's embarrassing. It wasn't my idea to write scary. I was funny. I did a humor magazine for 10 years. I only wanted to be funny.
But the Goosebumps
Somehow
book
I
had a
ended
great
up
sense
scary.
of humor to them.
hope.
There's an interesting connection between laughing and being scared that I've always found.
Listen, Jake, when you sneak up behind somebody and you go, boo, right? What's the first thing they do? They gasp,
and then
they laugh.
they laugh.
It's the same visceral reaction.
Honestly, it's my favorite reaction in the world. I could sit here and go through every single one of your titles, so many that we don't even have up on the wall right now. Is there one that you had most enjoyed the process of writing, that even in the middle of it you thought, God, this is good and this is fun and I'm enjoying
Well,
writing?
some of them are better than others. They're not all great. But no, I just love it. Why do I like it so much? I've been writing since I was 9 years old. How weird is that? Why? I don't know.
Because you're a
But
storyteller.
I still like it.
It's what you do.
Yes.
Having grown up, obviously I grew up on Goosebumps and then graduated in a way to Fear Street, which is a little bit darker, a little bit
we
scarier.
kill a lot
kill
of
some
teenagers.
folks.
People love it when you kill teenagers.
Did you
Why is that?
ever, obviously Goosebumps are a little bit safer. Did you ever?
No one ever dies in Goosebumps.
They don't, but
even if you're a ghost, you died 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly right. But there's a dark ending of Goosebumps. Isn't there one where she gets framed as a serial killer?
No, that's Fear Street.
Is that Fear
That's
Street?
the first, only unhappy ending I ever did, and kids hated it. They turned on me. The good girl gets taken away as a murderer at the end. I just did it for fun for me. And the mail started coming in. Dear RL Stine, you moron. Dear RL Stine, you idiot. How could you write that? Are you going to write the sequel and finish the story? They could not accept an unhappy ending. I've never done it again.
See, this is why you're a better person than me, because that would make me want to write all unhappy endings just to get them going.
No, that would be the end.
Fair enough.
That would be it.
You are appearing at the Music Box Theater tonight. Unfortunately, I do have to tell you, if you're watching at home and you don't already have a ticket, there's no point showing up. It's sold out. You can't get in. And it's a testament, I think, to, and listen, you've been to Music Box. Music Box is a big theater. So to sell out
That's
Music Box
really
Theater
nice.
is a huge deal.
Yeah.
I am such a massive fan of your work, sir. I do a lot of segments on horror and horror in pop culture. And the seed that grew that is you putting pen to paper. So on behalf of all of us who grew up reading these and who love a good scare because of you, we love you and we appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Jake.
And this is
was great
honor.
talking with you.
You too, sir. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to be right back. We're going to go to break.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.